Hello. Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm alive. I'm well. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Built Like This podcast. I'm your host, Maxine. We're on episode 325. It. Hello. Let's just start off with Houston. We have a problem. Um, why am I saying that? In case you are under a rock, Houston has been hit by the Hurricane Beryl. Nice name there. And Houston not being a great city of infrastructure infrastructure. Of course, everything's in mayhem. So power outage for a few days now. This is day 3 of no power for me. You may be wondering, well, how are you talking? Right, I am not in Houston right now. I am in Austin, Texas. Yes. Okay, Freckles Bay was like, "Yeah, you just come on, come on to Austin." And this was a good idea. So I am here in Austin with AC, with power, with lights, and then there was lights. But I think at this point, I'm learning lessons, right? I'm learning about realizing you can't control what you can't control. I can't control when center point energy is going to restore the power in my home. I can't control that. I just have to control myself. I have to control my attitude, my thoughts, my mindset, my day as best as I can. And I am doing pretty well. I am going to give myself a round of applause at this point because not only have I been having a good mindset, a good attitude about everything, but I've been productively just enjoying the days. Reading my book. I'm almost done with the book I just started a few days ago, and that's about to be over. And I have another book that I have with me because I knew I was going to finish my current read already. I have shows to watch. I have things to do. I have things to look up. I have work to get into. I have some goals to continue to work towards. And, now that I am with power, I have access to internet to be able to meet those goals that are online, at least, in order to meet them. But anyway, here we are. I guess I'm just annoyed with the fact that there's no better preparation methods in place in Houston yet for these sorts of things. And apparently this just has just been a thing of of Houston, right? Since the 70s, it's been like this from what I heard. So I guess it just is what it is, man. In future reference, I think what I would do is um pay better attention to when people mention, yeah, I think there's a hurricane coming. Even the slight mention of a possible storm that will be a category whatever. I will do my due diligence and do the own preparations that I can. So whether that's going ahead and booking a room, well, booking more than a room for a few nights, or coming out here to Austin if it's not impacting Austin. Like I would do my due diligence. I already have a list of items that I should get just to have in store that are non-perishable items, as well as battery operated lights. And even I was thinking about getting a battery operated fan, but considering is just anyway, y'all probably don't care. But this is where it's at. And I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy to be alive and well and in Austin at the moment. So let's get into these topics. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you are um listening to this and you are just already entertained, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Go ahead and tell a friend and leave a positive review. Okay, so let's get into these topics. So, which one should we start off with? Let's talk about get it sexy. Get it who am I referring to? Sexy Red. Yes, Sexy Red is not getting the proper outcome in her tours as we thought she would. She is actually getting low ticket sales, and it's quite uh, interesting, or it's quite telling to the times that we're in, right? I think this assumption that she would make so much in tour because of the attention that she is seemingly getting. But apparently, her upcoming tour is reportedly on the verge of being canceled. And that's because only 37.11% of her 85,217 tickets have sold. And that's apparently very low. And I just want to speak on the fact that, she has been a trending topic, a trending name for a few months now, at least. And her records are catchy. There's a movement around her where it's like this real bitch. I'm a real bitch. I'm that girl. I'm whatever the label I want to give myself. And this is what's happening with her. So she has a lot of support seemingly whenever a new song drops, or she posts an interesting video on social media, or she's featured with another artist at a show. But when it comes to her standalone tour, we see that reception is not the same. It's actually inconsistent to what I just said previously. Why is that? I think it's because American people, let's just be specific here, because I think it's about her American leg of the tour. I don't know if she's going overseas, but I think at the very least, the American people, we're not interested that much in her. We're not quite invested in her. Her music doesn't pull our heartstrings in a way where we're hypnotized by her. Her songs are catchy and it's a nice little bop, and you can shake your booty to it, but it's not enough for me or anyone I know to really say, yeah, I'm about to get Sexy Red's tickets. I'm about to get her. Like, I don't think it's this big deal. I think it's cool if she opens for someone, if she's a special guest, if she's even at the House of Blues, like, a small space for her to perform in. But as far as anything else, like a huge tour, whoever is her management really was overly ambitious when it came to her. And it's pretty it's pretty funny to see that. But Lord Jamar had a few words to say about Sexy Red, and he's not the only one to have said something similar to this, at least. He feels like she is a plant. Now, this term industry plant has come along quite frequently lately in the conversation about musical artists, whether it's a rapper or a singer, but it means essentially someone who was created for distraction, someone who was created for the likes of the label, but is not a real person, if that makes any sense. So maybe not someone who really has this persona, someone who's made up into this look, into this lifestyle, but it's all a facade. It's not really them. And the reason behind that facade is to distract us, is to manipulate the masses in a certain fashion, whatever that looks like. But it's just not this real image that we are perceived to have said. So Lord Jamar, who is honestly, I'll be very frank with you guys. I don't know his history. I don't. What I do know about him is he's on a podcast with someone, I forget, but he also doesn't he? No, that's someone else. He's on a podcast, I think. But isn't he a rapper? And I think Godfrey, the comedian, references him at times. So he's like respected to a level at least. This is no disrespect. I'm not familiar with his work. But his words have come to a level of popularity because he had some words to say regarding Sexy Red. So let's
Sexy Red looked like the type of girls like back in the days, like you walk in the room and you'd be like, smell like somebody was fucking in here. And what's crazy is I seen a video. Oh, you guys, I seen a video where she said her own pussy was stinking. Did you see that? I can't make. I'm not making this up. If I made that up, that'd be like defamation of pussy or some shit. Like I, like like she said that, but I said to myself, she looked like it get hot. It looked like it get funky in whatever room she fucking in. It get hot. Oh man, yeah. Fellas, we can do better. We can do better. Sisters, y'all can do better. That's not
So yeah, so he's saying she looks like she smells. She looks like she is someone who just has a poor or a bad order odor. Oh Lord, some words I just be like having a damn stroke. Am I having a stroke? Um, she looks like she smells. She does. She does. She looks like she doesn't wash herself. She does look like she's just like she doesn't wipe the crust around her like in the corners of her mouth. It's very odd. It's very odd how she appears. But nonetheless, he also mentions, maybe he'll mention it a little bit later, but I think this is all done by design. I do think this is intentional. I think these labels, right? Whoever she is signed to obviously is okay and not even okay, but is pushing for her to continue to look like this, right? Like there's no change in her looks. There's no let's just fix you up a bit. Let's make your wigs, let's make them look a little bit natural or a little better implanted on your head. Like make them look better than what they are. You like she looks like she just rolled out of bed, plop a wig on her head, you know, farted 3 times and has her lollipop in her mouth again. And she's like, get it, sex. And like, there's no that's what she looked like. She looked like she has no shame. No shame. Like, okay, this is me. And what's the problem?
that's not the type of fellas, you don't want to wife that up. And girls, if you act like her, you're not gonna get wifed up. I'm just letting you know. You know what I mean?
From what I'm hearing from you, it sounds like you feel like she's a plant. You feel like Sexy Red a plant?
Probably yes. Yep. And I think that plant is real. I don't think it's a conspiracy theory to believe that there are industry plants, the Takashi 69s and, people like that are put in this game to skew the minds of the masses and lead them down a certain road. And the road is usually leads to some sort of self-destruction, whether it be, trying to get them on some gang banging and let them crash out that way, or get the females on some horse so they can go out here and, have mad babies or contract sexually transmitted diseases and all this nonsense, or to promote pharmaceuticals like Plan Bs and all this bullshit.
Okay. So yeah, he thinks she's a plant. that she is someone who is really not who she says she is. And maybe that's the case, right? We're not aware of the decisions these industries, these labels, these record labels, what they do and what they make. But I do think something about her, and I'm sure there are a few others, but I do think there is an agenda pushed when it comes to some of these artists who are clearly just shameful looking, like just no regard to some level of decorum. And it's one thing to be quote unquote ratchet or from the hood, right? I'm not knocking that, because there is a certain aesthetic that Demo has, but with Sexy Red, it's beyond acceptable. Like, it's beyond what is acceptable. It's just something about it is off-putting. And I think the American people have recognized that enough to not really give her much attention to purchase tickets to her tour. Like, they don't see her to be worth it enough for that. And I also just feel like her music doesn't scream to me as someone who truly cares about her craft or sees her work as craft. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm reading into it. I could be totally wrong. Who knows? Anyway, but get it sexy. It's a catchy song. Look, but you're that super fast. All right. Okay. So I want to talk about. Oh, okay. Let's talk about this part. Okay, there's a couple of topics. Well, more than a couple. But let's get into this real quick. Let's get into this real quick. And let me close it real quick and let's get into it. I'm talking to myself. Let's talk about therapy and how therapy has often been used as a way to weaponize your yourself. Your quote unquote educated or emotionally intelligent way of communication. I noticed there are some people who use that as a way to weaponize against their loved ones, right? They'll say things like, well, I don't have the space for this, or you're gaslighting me. And I definitely just used that a few days ago with Freckles Bay. I did some self-reflection afterwards, and let me just say this. I think sometimes women, and myself in particular, I do get caught up in my head a lot. And it's good, but then it's bad, right? It works to my benefit, but then a lot of times it does work to my detriment. Like, I will create scenarios of things that are not real, that are not happening, that hasn't happened yet, but that's just how my brain works. I have to actively tell myself, remind myself, this is not the reality. This is not the case. Like, it's kind of strange. Anyway, but all in all, therapy is not really what people say it is. Like, I don't think it's always this healthy route. And I will always get so annoyed when people would say, oh, well, are you gonna go? You should go to therapy. Well, not to me, but when people would just say that very casually, as if it's the answer or the end all be all, but you've been in therapy for 30 years, right? Or when people go to therapy, they're always the victim. Like, when you're telling your story, whatever's going on with you, you are always going to tell it in a way that you were victimized, that you were wronged. You're never going to say, okay, I betrayed someone, right? I betrayed my loved one. I broke her trust. You're never going to be the bad guy. You're going to be the one victimized, because you're going to want the recipient to tell you, yeah, you are a good person. You're oh my You don't deserve that. It's like, no, others don't deserve your actions towards them. Let's turn it around. Anyway, that's often the rhetoric when it comes to therapy. I had a friend who was just the common denominator in the fall of her friendships, particularly her female friendships. And yet she will boast, kind of boast about going to therapy. And I will always think to myself, I'm like, what is happening in her sessions? Like, is your therapy aware of your behavior? Is she aware? Can I get her number? I need to like, let me talk to your principal right now. Like, that's what I think is happening. I don't think the therapist may be always at fault here, but I do think the therapist is getting wrong information or just inaccurate information, not the whole story. And that leads to the therapist sympathizing with their patient, with their client, when instead you should be not necessarily wagging your finger, but holding that person accountable for whatever it is. Anyway, but yeah, this former friend, just she was always in the wrong. She was always in the wrong, yet she was too not boastful. She was too prideful to admit her wrongs, or she'll admit it after you call her out on it. And it's like, okay, why do I have to reach out to you first when you did me wrong? Anyway, the point is, a lot of times those who brag about going to therapy aren't telling their therapist the truth. There aren't like they're not keeping it a buck with them. they're the problem. They are the common denominator. Yet the therapist is not. I want to talk to your therapist. I want to warn him or her about your poor behavior. You've been an awful friend. Okay, but let's get into this woman's words here. And I want to talk about also the comments when it came to her reaction or commentary about therapy. I agreed with her 100%. Yet a lot of people in the comments don't. And I think that's because they're the problem in the friendships. Yet they've been babied and cuckooed, almost, coddled into thinking that they're always right, that you are the victim. You were wronged. Oh, that person is horrible. Yeah, you shouldn't call that person first. If he's toxic, let him go. And it's like, no, but you're toxic. You're the one who started it. You're the one who keeps starting it with people. You're the problem. Yet the therapist isn't aware of that because you paint the picture in an intentional way. And now it becomes, yeah, everyone else is the problem. Everyone else is the bad guy. It's only you that's right. That's wrong. That is wrong. But anyway, let's get into this and debrief afterwards. But yes, I do think therapy has been a weapon that many people, particularly women, maybe some men, I don't know too many men who goes to do men even read books? I would like to see more men read books, and not just like, 48 Laws of Power. Like, read a regular book. Like, read a sci-fi, read a suspense novel, like, read a fucking book. 50 Cent, I'm not trying to read 48 Laws. Okay, cool, yes. I guess it's helpful to know how to manipulate people and gain friends. Great. But can we talk about this murder mystery that I'm reading? Huh? Can we talk about this coming to age story that I read a few months ago? Like, why do book clubs only consist of women? Like, more men should be reading, and straight men at that. Straight black men at that. Like, I remember seeing, what was that? It's a quick side note. Remember that clip of Birdman getting mad? I never played it on here, but I did engage with it on social media and saw people talk about it. But Birdman was at some prison and he was getting mad at the prisoners, talking about, man, in order for you to help us right now is give us books. Basically, like, give us books. We need books. and he got mad at it at them talking about you think reading books gonna help you? Okay, I found the clip. Look at that. Anything on Twitter? Let's play this real quick. And maybe I'm just not a man. I don't understand, but can y'all just like read?
I help y'all. We have no access to. We have no access to. I have enough power to make that happen. Okay, well, we need inside help for his leadership. For these guys having books to read upon the criminal. So you think reading books from? I know different reading books. And I help.
Okay. The fact that Birdman said at the end of that, no disrespect to reading books. Are you okay? I don't get it. I don't get it. And I think we feminize reading. Like we feminize teaching also. We only think teachers should consist of women when no, I want to see more Black male teachers. Black male straight. You got to add all of that. Straight. Black male straight teachers. Where are the male teachers who are straight and who read books? Can y'all represent for the Black male students in your classroom? I don't know. It really bothers me. I every time I go to any type of like institution, which is a horrible term to use when you think of like schools, it just sounds so prison like. I don't see straight Black men. I do not. Like where are y'all? Building a house? Good. Build a house, but teach the kids too. I just want our kids to have more role models that are not just one type of demographic. Anyway, that's just a side note. But yeah, there we have it. Birdman talking about books is not going to help you. And look, I understand as a man though, I think men are more about like they're about that action, right? They're more literal, they're more concrete, they work with their hands. I do respect and I love that Freckles Bay, he's a hands-on guy, like literally hands-on guy, like he create things and just make things happen. It's amazing. I don't know. I don't want to soften men. I just want them to like read books. Can you read books? Anyway, let's move on. Okay, so let's talk about this weaponization of therapy. That's what it is. That's what I wanted to say earlier. There are women who weaponize therapy, who weaponize going to therapy, and this is not okay.
Opinions that's going to get me JFK'd, and I am okay with that. Western psychology and therapy has bred a lot of abusers, manipulators, and gaslighters. Y'all have turned your sadism into self-care, your barbarity into boundaries. It just gave you the language to do so. Y'all would rather pick up DSM-5s than do a little self-reflection. You have learned to pathologize why you are a bad partner, friend, child, or parent. Instead of just saying, why would I want to help you move? You say, I don't have the space for that right now. Instead of saying, I don't want to listen to all the bullshit going on in your life, you say, I can't have you trauma dumping on me. There's a lot going on for me right now. Instead of saying, I don't like talking to you unless I need something from you, you say, I'm full at the moment. I'm at capacity for this kind of thing, but I'll reach back out to you when I can. Y'all are so anti-communal, and therapy is the perfect space for that under the Western model because it rewards hyper-individualistic behavior. Western therapy tells you it's all about you, babe. It doesn't look at anybody else around you. It insulates you. It's insular, puts you in your bubble. It says you're the focus. It doesn't make you look outside of yourself. And y'all love that. It makes you bad people. It makes you worse people. This is one of
I love everything that she said here. I especially love the ending. How she talks about therapy makes you anti-communal. That is very true. That is very true. We live in a society that does not value community. It really does not. This Western society that we're in, It does not value community. Now, when you go to Caribbean areas, whether that's Jamaica, Haiti, anywhere outside of the US, that's the Caribbean specifically, there is more community. There is more lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be okay. There is a lot of that there. But here in America, it's about me, 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 me. You did me wrong. I'm hurt. You didn't do right by me. You're not my cup of tea, or you're not serving me. Is this relationship serving me? Shout out to Tia Mori. I'm so sick of her. You left a good man, Savannah. Girl, whoever snatches up Corey Hardrick, Tia Mori's gonna be sick. She's gonna be sick. She's gonna be like, God, what did I do? I just broke up my family. What did I do? Oh my God, it's her coming on talking about how she's dating now. When, girl, what? You left your marriage, who you said was a good marriage. I just needed to I look at my marriage as a curriculum. I look at my marriage as a curriculum, and you take the classes, you create things, and then you graduate. And then you graduate from the marriage. Girl, are you okay? Is everything okay, Tia Mori? No, clearly not. Child, I know she is sick. But whoever snatches up Corey Hardrick, hello? Hello? Anyway, so anti-communal, that is where we are in this society. And this wasn't always the case here in America. It has become more of the case in recent years, but definitely I would say in the 60s, 70s, maybe even in the 80s, there was more community. But ever since therapy has come around, ever since therapy has been used as a way to get through things, right? Oh, go to therapy, you'll be all right. Okay, but therapy is about just you. It does insulate you. It does make you want to only focus on you. How does he serve you? Is he serving you? Whatever. What happened to serving others? What happened to being of service to others? What happened to thinking of others before yourself, which is something that I'm working on. But what happens to that? I think sometimes we get so caught up in ourselves that we forget about the impact that we have on other people. Literally, the things that we learned when we were young people. When we were young people, we learned this, yet we get older and we're now striving to be independent. I pay all my bills. I went through the mud and I didn't ask for any help. I did it all by myself. Yeah, but you didn't have to. Or you shouldn't have had to gone through. Like, you shouldn't have gone through that. It should have been a community. You should have had a mentor or a friend or an aunt or a parent, a sibling who could have aided you. You should have felt comfortable enough to ask for help. And there should have been a community around you who not only encouraged you to ask, but maybe even the community was so strong that you didn't need to ask. The community just filled in where there were holes. What happened to that? I don't know what was the particular pivot that led to this type of insular society. But I definitely agree with her. We have become so hyper focused on me, 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 that we think everyone else is the problem. So in times when you have a friend asking for help, there's this fear of, for me, for example, again, there was this hurricane. Hurricane is gone, but the recovery from it is always longer than the hurricane itself, right? So there's debris on the floor, on the ground. There's power outage. There is always something still in the way of getting back to how life was before Hurricane Beryl. Now, it's not as bad as Hurricane Harvey or anything like that, but nonetheless, it still has an impact. And I'm the type of person, whether that was conditioned or not, but I do think a lot of it is conditioned because of the society that we're in. I'm the type to be very afraid, hesitant, damn near scared to ask people who I consider friends help, to ask, hey, do you? But then my mind goes to, well, if you have power, maybe ask your friends and see if they don't have power, and then you could offer your home to them. You know what I mean? I never want to ask because I always am afraid of being a burden. But where does that come from? Like, why should that be a thought process in my head of, oh, I don't want to be a burden. What if the person's lying to me and they say they don't have space, and but they really do, but they just don't want me to be there, and I'm embarrassed because now that, all of that comes in my head, and at that point I'm just like, you know what? I'm just not gonna do it. I'm just not gonna do it. I'll just suffer. I'll put myself in danger before I ask for help. And that should not be the case, but I do think it's because there have been instances recent from family or friends in which they have expressed a lack of community in their own actions and in their own words. Like, I don't know, I might want to come over. Like, I've heard that in my own family, in some family members. I don't want to be too specific, but if I'm hearing that from some family members, it's like, okay, well, I don't want you to think like that for me, so I'm just going to keep it to myself, right? Anyway, the point is, I'm never going to ask. Either you offer and I'll accept, but me asking is just so hard. But I think that's a lot to do with the community or lack of community that we're in, with the society that we've created, and the fact that we are so insular. It's sickening. It's sickening. It's not good. We are not meant to live alone. We are not meant to do life alone. That is not how we were created to live. And I think this is just tearing us up spiritually. Like, we are spiritually affected in a poor way by our independent actions and our hyper focus on self type of mindset, where, like, it's hurting us. Then we realize we get so prideful in the fact that, oh, well, I got this by myself, and I did this without anyone's help. Look at me. Oh, okay. Well, in my mind, I'm gonna think, where's your community? Where is your help? Who do you lean on? Why are you always doing things by yourself? Anyway, it's just something to think of. Now, some of these comments are upset. Someone says here, she's literally a poster child for why therapy is necessary. And I disagree with this person. Like, no, she's not. Someone saying, deadass Shadi is so hurt. She needs it. Yes, OMG. And the fact only the women are praising you and the men are questioning should say something. LOL, high level. She explained how people just focus on themselves and their own needs, which is true, especially dating, because women, happy wife, happy. Okay, yes, I agree with that too. Right. This idea of only self, right? That I hated that phrase ever since I've heard of it. Happy wife, happy life. When it's like, no, why is it only about the wife being happy? And then you get mad when the husband cheats, but he's not happy. Like, if the man's not happy, what happens then? oh, he's gonna find happiness outside of the marriage, and now happy wife, happy life is not fulfilled because, wow, look at that discovery. So how about we change it to happy spouse, happy house? We get so caught up in ourselves, and I understand how we can be easily victimized by this conditioning, because again, I I am, and there are instances in which I've demonstrated such behavior, but now that I'm aware of this, I am actively working on it. And I think therapy is a tool by Nazi Germany. Hello? Are we still here? Yes, I said therapy is a tool sent here by Nazi Germany. Look it up. The way that we do school here, how we are designing robots and setting up students to go straight into the workforce rather than create and create an economy that is self-sufficient, so much so that you're creating your own business. Not everyone's designed to be an entrepreneur per se, but we are more hyper focused on children going straight to college and straight to X, Y, and Z rather than creating a track for themselves based on their desires, based on their skill set, and building a trade from that. That's all by design. This is all taken from how things were done in Nazi Germany. Therapy is also a tool used from them because we took a lot of their implementations and implemented them, applied them here in America. Look it up. Look it up. I'm not getting into that right now, but anyway, all in all, to say, I do agree with this woman wholeheartedly. And I hate that I'm reading many of these comments that disagree with her. Someone else just said, girl, get help. Black people just now becoming comfortable going to therapy, and now it's a bad thing. Now people using it as a weapon. Do you know how hard it is for our community to have healthy boundaries? Don't set us back. Girl, what? But here's the thing with that. It's one thing to know how to vocalize your feelings, right? Maybe therapy helps you get through that, right? I think therapy should only be needed, and typically it was only needed for those who were categorized as crazy. Literally crazy. Oh, you on a therapy? Dang, you trying to call me crazy? No one wanted to be crazy. No one wanted to be crazy at one point, but now in 2024, everybody's crazy. According to Amanda Seals, she has autism. Now, I can't say she does or not. I'm not here to talk about her right now. I said I'll stop, and I've been doing well. But what I'm saying is everyone has something now. Everyone has a diagnosis. Everyone's a narcissist. Everyone's bipolar. Everyone has ADHD. Every time I look up the symptoms, because they'll come up in my algorithm, I'm like, oh. And when you engage with a particular type of content on Instagram and TikTok, it's going to continue. It's going to duplicate. You're going to look at that more and more. And then you're like, oh my gosh, this is me. I have ADHD. I have Asperger's. I'm on the spectrum. I'm autistic. Like, it's like, girl, what did my mom take when she was pregnant with me? Hello? I just think we've come so far gone in this society. Everyone's fucking crazy, and then we wear it as a shield, and then we use that as an excuse to not be our best selves with each other, right? We use that as an excuse to not have decorum. I'm not gonna dress up for work. You don't have to wear a ball gown, but you have to look presentable. And now the conversation is, oh, I want to decolonize work culture aesthetic. Why should I? Because the white man is like, oh, no, just look right. You shouldn't have to come into work wearing sweats. Why are you rolling out the bed? Comb your hair. And look, I was once that girl. I used to be that way, like, oh well, I I'm not gonna let colonization dictate how to wear my hair. Look, I'm still a natural girly, don't get me wrong, but I do understand how there's a difference between natural hair and unkept hair. Like, there's a difference between rolling out of the bed hair, like you're rolling out of the bed, you're rushing to get to work, you look sloppy. It's not about colonization, it's about looking kept. It's about being maintained. Maintain yourself, whatever that looks like. And if it's easier to maintain yourself with your hair in braids, because I've noticed that has to be something that I have to be better regimented on, because it's the type of hair that I have, then do that. But it's like, let's stop giving reasons why it's okay to walk out the house not looking your best or just not looking presentable. I'm not saying you have to, again, wear a ball gown, but look like you brushed your teeth today. Smile. When men tell women, yeah, some of the men who do that, they look like they want something. When you smile, they suddenly use that as an invitation to hit on you. But let's talk about the men who do say, come on, smile, beautiful. And then you smile, and then they see your beautiful smile. Let's just sit in that smile. Let's smile more. Show your teeth. Smile. Bring that energy up. Anyway, this is all to say, don't go to therapy. It's a Nazi Germany type of tactic. I'm telling you, do your research. You will be surprised. My God, you'll be surprised. Okay, what is next on the topic? Okay, 2 ride or die teacher besties indicted with allegedly having sex with some of their male students. My God, today. What is going on in this world? So, yes, you heard it straight. 2 female teachers. These teachers are ride or die besties, teacher besties, and this is a thing amongst the education system. Absolutely. Teachers are, there are several, because the work that you do when you're teaching, when you're working in a school, is very personal work, right? You are helping to raise a child to be his or her best self. You're helping them to gain a skill to fulfill an objective, an academic objective, even a personal objective, right? Learning how to have etiquette. There are certain classes in which it focuses on personal as well as academic. The point is, it's not just a job where you clock in, clock out per se. Now, as you get further into teaching, this is teacher tips. You do learn how to clock in, clock out. Like, you don't bring work home with you. Yes, I said it right. You do know how to just, okay, shut it out. Like, you do know how to, there's boundaries there that you could create. Like, I think when I think about boundaries, I know that's like another hot word we use now. Oh, my boundaries. What the fuck are you talking about? We don't go pick up your damn niece. Talk about you're betraying my boundary. What? Be of service to others. But yeah, the boundaries at work make sense, right? Knowing, for the most part, I think sometimes, you still have to have a level of decorum with your boss. Even though I don't know, sometimes with these topics, sometimes I contradict myself, because some of these terms, I definitely would stand on business when it comes to topics like this. Like, with my former second job, there were not necessarily boundaries crossed, but there were just some examples of a hostile work environment that I did not appreciate. But I know there are people of a certain generation who would be like, look, it helps pay the bills. This is, I'll just do it. I don't know. I'm just different. But anyway, who knows? The point is, I think at the very least, but then mental health is another one. I'm contradicting myself sometimes. Child. Anyway, the point. Let's talk about this new story. A pair of ride or die besties who were in each other's wedding parties are charged with. So they're both married, respectively, and they are charged with having sex with male students. The fact that they're saying having sex with instead of sexually coercing or raping, or instead of that language, they're saying it in a way that means the male students had consent. Now I know the conversation is, oh well, it's different for boys, it's different. Let's focus on the law. The law says if you're under this particular age, but here's the thing, it's Georgia, so I don't know. This article did not give me any detail on the age of the students. It only told me that they are students. And at most, this is not okay. So let's say the student is a retained student. The student got kept back. The student is 17, 18, maybe, either or, about to graduate, or on the track, maybe in an alternative track to graduate. And it's Georgia. I'm trying to think of all these possible loopholes. Nonetheless, why are you having sex with your student? It's not okay. It's not okay. So I get it. I get it, but I think the loophole, whenever I talk about any type of story, I always like to see the loopholes. And I think being that they're in Georgia, no shade to Georgia, but there are certain southern cities southern states, and even some states up north, I think New Jersey or New York, I think Jersey, the consent for, I talked about this in the previous episode, their consent is 17. Like, it's not every state is 18, y'all. That's the point. So anyway, obviously whatever they did, it was illegal. So let's just be very clear there. The students were underage. I don't know how underage. Obviously, they're protected by the law to not have that revealed because this was not included in this report. And it's not okay. It's not effing okay. It's not okay. So regardless, maybe the male students is like, oh, I banged that I banged Miss Smith. I banged her. And it's like, what? Miss Smith raped you. Not you, but Miss Smith raped you. You got raped by your teacher, by your female teacher, however hot she looked. Oh, she looks so hot. I don't care how hot. You got sexually manipulated and taken advantage of by your female teacher. That's not okay. Rayleigh Greason and Brooklyn Schuler, who worked at Calhoun City Schools, were slapped with charges for allegedly sleeping with their students. This took place in 2021 and 2022. I don't know why it took this long for justice to be had. And according to this article, these teachers were seen as big flirts. Apparently, parents have said this quite often, that they were known for just being big flirts, very flirtatious. And this is just a part of their adjectives, the way that people would describe them. Is very weird. Let's see what else. So she was indicted just a couple of weeks ago actually, and her husband is riding for her. He actually quoted a verse from the Bible talking about, let him who is without sin among you cast the first stone. If you don't shut the I gotta go. Let's end this episode here. What? The two women were arrested and booked, where they were later released on bond. If they are convicted, they will face up to 25 years in prison or a fine up to $100,000, which is nothing to these white people because they got generational wealth. So, what? Fuck a kid if you have generational wealth, and if you're a white, prissy, cute white woman, you'll get away with it. Living in Georgia, let's make that very clear too, because maybe in other states it won't be as easy. But living in Georgia, it is. So she says here also previously, communicating feedback in forms of grades and averages can really stress students out, causing them to struggle and can cause them to struggle. Okay. I guess she's saying that to say that is more of a reason why she gets close with her students. Let's see what else here. These teachers are besties, ride or dies. Pre-service, let's see. She's considered a level 4 educator. I don't know what that means. I guess good in her job. Every school district has a particular language for how they rate their teachers. I think the higher the number, the better ranked you are. So typically that's usually how it is anyway. When you're a 4, you're better than a 1. So I guess she was a respected teacher in her craft. But there was something else that I read. Maybe it was a previous article that said they were just big flirts. The woman faced charges of sexual contact by an employee or agent in the first degree. The two, quote, reasonably should have known, end quote, the boys were enrolled. Okay, that's what it is. Okay. They didn't meet these male students at the school. Apparently, this school district is big enough that they weren't aware of every student, I guess, or just didn't have an idea that these male students were students, period, and definitely students at this district. They met somewhere else. It does not see this article doesn't really give much detail about, and another I didn't find any detail about where they met, who these students are, how old they are. But apparently, according to this, they did not meet on campus. It was not a student of theirs. But come to find out later on, whoever they were having sex with are actual students at the school, enrolled in the school district. Maybe they're at another campus. Nonetheless, it's not okay. Why are you sleeping with your kids? But God bless. Things happen differently in Georgia. Georgia. All right, ladies and gents, we're gonna go ahead and end it here. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate your support. Make sure you are liking, sharing, subscribed, and leaving a positive review on all of the platforms for this podcast. So that's YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. I will greatly appreciate that. And I will check in with you all next time. Peace.